What is up, everyone? So before I say anything, I am coming to Miami next week, and Mike K is coming with me too.
Drink all day, play all night, let's get it poppin'. I'm in Miami, bitch.
That's right, Miami, and I'm gonna be doing stuff with Koki Sports and PSG. Then we're gonna go to the Juventus PSG game for the ICC tournament. You guys know what that is. Then I'm gonna be doing stuff with beIN Sports, as I do. Then we're doing El Clasico with Heineken. So it's gonna be what, Stat Nerd?
It's lit, fam.
Exactly, which means we have to do a pickup game, and this time I'll do it a little farther south than when I did it last time when Spencer FC was with me in Miami earlier this year, but that's next week. So instead, let's talk about what just happened this past week in the Weekend in Rewind, also known as Word. Okay, did you hear about Leo Bonucci, who has developed into one of the best center backs in the world for the club that he loves, Juventus, the old lady, the black and white, and he's leaving to go to AC Milan. And it's just what? That defies logic. I'm like, what the fuck? I just don't understand almost all of this. I can't process it here. I'm gonna start with the price. He went for 42 million euros. He's one of the top defenders in Europe. 42 million. And my favorite part about all this, and I guess it's more of a compare and contrast, it's 15 million less than what Manchester City just paid for Kyle Walker. Kyle f***ing Walker. Yes, a stud 30-year-old center back who's known as Leo Bonucci has won 12 trophies and still has 3 to 4 very good years left because center backs age better. Is that what I was saying? Center backs get better with age is what I want to say. And Kyle Walker, well, he's only won 0 trophies. You have to think that City or Chelsea or United would have paid at least 20 million more than what Milan paid to get Bonucci. But I guess he wanted to stay in Italy, which is cool. I get that. I mean, yeah, your family's settled there. It's the country you're from. But why would Juve let him go to a club that is clearly positioning itself to win the league? And why wouldn't Juve gouge the new money is no object Chinese owners of Milan by raising the price way up? I just don't. Something isn't adding up here because it's like Juve wants Milan to be good again. However, if Milan were better, things would be good for Serie A in a few different ways. Publicity, competition, intrigue, drama, and if those things are good, then there's gonna be more money and attention and power for everyone. The clubs, the league. Because right now, I'll be honest, Serie A has been a little boring with the same club winning the league every single season. It's so very Bundesliga of them. It really is. But back to Milan. Sure, their manager Vincenzo Montella has to mold all of these new signings and their egos into something special in a very, very short period of time. Otherwise, he'll probably get fired, and then Carlo Ancelotti will come back in. But Bonucci could be the most important piece because he's the only player out of all the new players that's actually won something of consequence. 12 of them, actually, which is a lot. So his leadership and experience will be crucial in Milan's quest to be relevant again, not only in Italy, but in all of Europe. So again, just to reiterate, what the f was Juve thinking? And yes, I know that Bonucci had a huge falling out with Juve manager Maxi Allegri in the latter half of last season, and it was actually during a 4-1 win against Palermo, which is weird. And that incident, which led to Bonucci's benching in an important Champions League game, it was leg 1 of the round of 16 against Porto, has labeled the vocal defender as a problem in the dressing room for speaking his mind and being honest about how he feels. It's pretty sad when that gets used against you. And yes, I completely understand that no one player is bigger than the club. And if he causes a problem with the man hired to run the team, which in this case is Allegri, then the player has to go. He has to. You can't let him stay on. Because as a manager, you can't have a disobedient disruption in the squad who's undermining everything that you say and everything that you do. I get it. But in many ways, no manager should be bigger than the club either. Chew on that. And Juve's decision to hire Allegri, who I believe gets a lot of credit for all the success that the old lady's been having, but he has a team at his disposal that could probably win it without a manager. Because come on, Gigi Buffon would coach the shit out of this team from the goal. He could totally do it. So Juve's decision to hire Allegri could backfire on them because it seems like he's got a lot of ego, and I understand why he made the decisions that he did, but it could backfire on them because not only did Milan get Bonucci, they just signed Lazio's Lucas Biglia, who at 31 is going to provide more experience in the spine of the team in the defensive midfield spot, and I think that's a very good signing. And they're on the verge of signing 24-year-old Alvaro Morata. I don't know why that doesn't roll off the tongue for me. Alvaro Morata from Real Madrid, and it leads me to one question. Does financial fair play even exist anymore? I mean, if you're an AC Milan fan, that is great. If you're an Inter Milan fan, not so great. Inter hasn't really done anything. Sad days for Inter.
He was playing with Sampdoria, Luca Toni as well. Here's Mauro Icardi. Off the post! Perisic misses on the follow-up, and Milan dodge a bullet.
Also in the friendly I was talking about in the last video, you guys remember that? Manchester United played the LA Galaxy, and I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but they were up 5-0 over the team from LA until Mexican international Gio Dos Santos scored 2 goals to make it 5-2, and a little more respectable of a loss if you think it's respectable to give up 5 goals in a game and 3 in the first 20 minutes. I mean, respectable might not be the right word. But let's talk again about who is the biggest loser in all of this. It is the LA Galaxy and MLS. And I don't care if the Galaxy rested a lot of their best players because this was their 9th game in 30 days, which makes perfect sense as to why their best players were rested. I get it, 1000%. I mean, yeah, 9 games in 30 days is a lot. But the perception is what Gary Lineker tweeted. And this guy definitely thinks that he has it all figured out. That is very clear, quite arrogant. And even though the Galaxy admittedly didn't look good, the San Jose Earthquakes easily dispatched to Frankfurt 4-1 the other night. So based on the logic that I'm describing, does that mean the Earthquakes could push for a Europa League spot in the Bundesliga? Which means you can't make blanket generalizations about a league based on one game, especially without the context of what, for example, the Galaxy are going through. I mean, they've played so many games. So many, and this is a meaningless game itself with a friendly, and they have so many guys away with their national teams for the Gold Cup, or they got guys that are hurt. But as they say, perception is reality. And the perception that kills the league every single summer with these friendlies is that MLS is miles short. And even though we all know, or maybe some of you guys know, that's not true, nobody wants to hear that. They would prefer to pile on and talk shit and like, MLS sucks, and yeah. So here's the deal, we are behind, but not miles behind. And we're slowly gaining ground on everyone. So that when I'm ready to manage, I can help us take it to the next level for that warm baller status, baby. Also, it seems like Borussia Dortmund are up for selling Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for a pretty reasonable price. I heard it's just a little above the same price that City paid for Kyle motherfucking Walker. But nobody is biting. 70 million euros? Doesn't seem too bad for Aubameyang yet. I think it makes the most sense out of all the teams that are linked to him for Chelsea. Since Diego Costa appears to be on his way out, he was seen wearing an Atleti jersey on social media a couple days ago, and they lost their other target, Romelu Lukaku, did I say that right, to Manchester United. So if the Blues can get Aubameyang, they're gonna get a little more speed up top, which means the back four for their opponents would have to drop off to compensate for his speed and his dynamic runs and everything else that he brings to the table. And that's gonna leave gaps for Eden Hazard and Willian and Pedro to exploit, and that can only be considered a good thing for the Blues. And finally, before I let you go enjoy the rest of your day, let's do a quick preview of the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup that kicks off this week, starting with Costa Rica versus Panama, which just might be my favorite matchup of the quarterfinals because they're so evenly matched. The Panamanians were solid throughout their group. They earned 7 points and a +4 goal differential, just like the US. That's right, they both had 7 points and a +4 goal differential, but they fell second due to the US scoring more goals. The US had 7 to Panama's 6. So yeah, eat that, Panama. So they're left to face the winners of Group A, Costa Rica, who've only given up 1 goal so far in this whole tournament. And damn, when I think about both of them and how they've played and the people on the roster, I'm just not sure who to go with here. I mean, I know that Panama plays well against the US in this tournament, but not necessarily everyone else. And I once played with a couple of Costa Rican internationals back in the day, Mauricio Wright and Mauricio Solis. Almost forgot his name for a second. Amazing mustache. So I just think that Costa Rica is going to do it. My gut's telling me that, and they're going to win in penalties. And up next, we have my next favorite matchup, Jamaica versus Canada, because these are two other countries in the CONCACAF region that seem to match up well. Canada, under new manager Octavio Zambrano, who, fun fact for you, lied to my face and treated me like crap when I was a younger player, and he was the coach of the LA Galaxy. But that is a story for a different time, and maybe a story that you guys would benefit from, because, oh man, I was in a bad way. It was tough. But he's done well with the Canadians. They're undefeated in 2017 with 3 wins and 3 draws. But Jamaica was a Gold Cup finalist the last time this tournament was held in 2015. So that core of players knows it can get things done. But with the addition of one of the top young players in MLS, Orlando City's Kyle Larin, I think that Canada is going to have enough. I think he's going to be the one that makes the difference, and Canada is going to take this 2-1. And now let's talk about Mexico and the United States, because both countries brought younger, unproven rosters to the Gold Cup. And after all 3 games in the group stages, each country got hammered, absolutely hammered in the media, even though both countries won their respective groups. I mean, I understand a smidge of criticism if you think they're not playing to the level that you think that they're capable of, but this tournament is a perfect opportunity for the 2 biggest teams in the CONCACAF region to try new players and see if these players can be counted on when shit matters in the World Cup next summer. And that's it. It's sink or swim time for these guys. And if they can play and handle the pressure and adversity, and they're good in the locker room, then they'll probably stay around. And if they're not gonna stay around. It's simple. Mexico is gonna play against Honduras, who they'll probably struggle against, but still find a way to get a result. And the US is gonna play against El Salvador and probably do the same thing. They're gonna struggle, but somehow get the result. And then everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, what's wrong with these countries? The country is like the worst thing. We're like regressing and bitch and bitch and bitch about the performances. And then I'll come on before the semifinals and try to talk everyone off the ledge as these 2 teams end up making it to the final and have an epic final and everybody's happy. So that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. I'm done talking. Later.